I have a feeling that this is the museum. So that was one of the benefits of my serendipitous getting lost. Notice how this communist country pleasantly asks you to keep off the grass. This lines probably have 3 to 5. I asked these people who showed them my passport to get in. They said no, and they pointed me over where the 2 lines were. And so I got in line, stood there for about 45 minutes and talked with a couple behind me. And then we got almost to the front. And then they indicated that they talked to one of the girls who was like officiating there. And she said, oh no, he can go right to the front. And with his passport, so with my passport, I went right to the front, which I could have done from the very beginning. But it was a Chinese moment. I spent 45 minutes in line doing what the Chinese have to do. So here we are inside the museum. Once I got to the ticket place, then I got considerable scrutiny in the sense they wanted my water bottle. They wanted me to drink what was inside of it, which makes sense. Okay, right now we're about ready to enter that green area, which is #1 gallery in prehistoric age, Zhou dynasty and the Qin dynasty. This is a diorama of a typical old primitive village, although it's a fairly substantial village. Probably some of the early examples of the writing in the Shang period. And this is interesting because it's apparently a pictorial. I can't understand Chinese, of course, but it shows the various artistic styles all in one page, which is interesting. There are various kinds of weapons. These look like they're stone. Maybe the one on the left isn't, but otherwise they look like they're stone. Maybe not. Just an endless array of this panel showing the different designs geographically for Shaanxi. Here, rather rectangular, but with a little bit of a point on that one. And you wonder what the holes are for, probably to attach it to a piece of wood. So they were used like a sai or an axe. Early jade face of a man. These are apparently jade spades, which takes semi-precious out of the normal realm. These, some kind of a jade dagger axe. These are ceremonial objects. So there you get an idea of how stuff was made, including things like this probably in anywhere else in the world. Interesting cooking vehicles. All this is pottery in here. This is a wine vessel, which is beautiful because of the thin walls. How elegant it is. About 3000 to 2100. It's BC. That puts it back in the early Egyptian period, the first pharaohs. Here a stone spade, more reflecting the kind that we would use for dirt work, although here they use regular flat ones. Bone arrowheads, seen a billion of those. These going back 5,000 years as stone axes and spearheads. Here a little boat-shaped bottle. Here a jar with a lizard form applied to it, somewhere between 5 and 3000 BC. This is a statue of a man's head. What I found on that last one to be interesting was this facial expression. Similar to the ones that you see, I think, on the plaster forms from Herculaneum in Italy. This is the pre-Zhou period, which is analogous to the Xia and the Shang dynasties. 21st century, 11th century BC. Here's an example of the oracle bones that were used during the Shang period. And you can see holes that, I don't know what the holes signify, because normally they were burned with a hot metal stove or poker of some sort till they crack. And you can see the cracks in there. Here we get into the Shang dynasty brass, I believe, or brass or bronze. Bronze, I think, came first. These are just various weapons, almost obviously. Do some serious damage. These are from the late Shang dynasty bronze. It may have begun to be the basis for the Zhou's ritual bronze tradition. Here's some massive bronze. This is an interesting bronze pot with those pointy things sticking out. Food container with character Wen. This is an interesting spoon, or what we would call a ladle. It almost looks like a animal's head, almost like a horned animal right there. Here's a couple of relatively small bronze knives, one with a horse head, one with a snake head. Elegant wine vessel of a dragon motif, apparently. It's a wine vessel, but a great deal of detail on it. Particularly as a cast piece. A couple more of those weapons that look very much like some of the farm implements. These are apparently bronze masks, but they seem quite small, even for the Oriental skull. They're a dagger axe with a frog motif. You wonder if that belonged to a higher echelon fighter. This is the late Shang period. I have to go back and check and see. I thought it was the Zhou that had the culture of that, but maybe it was the Shang. This is a reconstruction, I'm sure, of a excavated site of a nobleman. It's two chariots with attendant horses, probably buried in the same way that the Qin Shi Huangdi buried them in the terracotta army site. It says Western Zhou nobleman. Notice the bridle and other trappings are still on the horse. You wonder if this is where the people who made the the terracotta army got the idea. Now we look at the Western Zhou dynasty. This is the only surviving late Western Zhou period bronze, early Western Zhou period bronze. Imagine how spectacular these would have looked when they were brand new and polished up. Another example. Beautiful detail work. Imagine how heavy that is. Here with a horse head, it looks like on the spout. This theoretically was a water container. And this is a drinking vessel, which is interesting. Very pretty. One with a handle on it. After a while, this stuff will start to get ho-hum, but right now it's interesting. This allegedly a spoon type thing, almost looks like a little mini dipper. And this a decorative piece. Looks more like a handle for something. This is alleged to be some kind of a ritual object, but not clear what. Nor what the 5 holes are for, unless they represent a constellation. This is a jade silkworm. It's supposed to be dealing with currency and transportation. Take your best guess. I'm guessing that those are some kind of a what we call bearing type of device, but I haven't a clue. Ornaments. They're elegant. That horse, almost a serpent look. This part of an ornamental horse collar. This is a reproduction of an excavated tomb showing some of the objects that remained, most having been stolen by tomb robbers. And there were chariots on either side of the tomb entrances, again suggesting that motif of the ceremony.
这是干嘛的？这个也是9国面，那个可以提起来